All right, so today we are going to be taking notes on rational numbers on a number line. And inequalities. All right, this is number 2 in our notes. So yesterday we did a bunch of vocabulary. We numbered that number 1. So this should be the second page in our notes section. The work that we just graded should be in your homework and classwork section. All right, so today is one of the big days where my advanced class and my regular class differ significantly. All right, we're skipping over just putting regular numbers on a number line. All right, we're skipping over just putting positive and negative numbers in order. All right, I'm still going to have some, sorry, my brain just froze. I'm still going to have some opportunities where you'll get to practice those skills. All right, but I'm not going to spend a whole day teaching you how to put numbers in order. All right, you can put whole numbers in order. I really do honestly fully believe that you are capable of that, even if I put in negatives, because we're going to talk about inequalities. We're going to compare them today, and then we'll have some further opportunities next week where we get to practice putting them in order on our own. All right, today we are going to go ahead. We're going to move on to rational numbers. You'll see it more next week, but we're going to kind of jump ahead and jump into it today. Andrew, do you have a question?
I see how rational numbers has ratio in it, so I think it might have something to do with fraction.
That's a really good idea. So I'm going to reiterate that because I love where your brain is at. That's awesome. What he just said was rational numbers. He said he noticed that rational numbers has the word ratio in it, so he's thinking it might have something to do with fractions. And in fact, it does. So let's write down what a rational number is. That was so well put. I am still I'm reeling from getting over how outstanding that observation was. All right, so a rational number is any positive or negative number that can be written as a fraction. Right? It's any positive or negative number that can be written as a fraction. Right? So, and there we can see what Andrew just observed is completely accurate. Rational numbers do relate directly to fractions. All right, so let's look at some examples of what would be considered rational numbers. All right, so an obvious kind of example would be 1/4. Obviously, 1/4 is a fraction, correct? Okay. Then I could also just say negative 1/4, right? So negative 1/4 is also a rational number because it's a fraction. 3 7/8 is a rational number because it has a fraction. Negative 3 7/8 is also a rational number. Right? What other types of numbers can I write as fractions? Sadie?
12 and 8 and 8/16.
We could do 12 and 8/16. That would be another mixed number. Right? But what's another type of number we could write as a fraction? Not just a fraction. What's another type of number that I could make a fraction or make look like one? Andrew?
A decimal?
We can make a decimal a fraction, right? So one of the most obvious or easiest decimals is 0.5. All right, so 0.5 is rational. Does 0.5 look like a fraction right now?
No.
No. But could I make 0.5 a fraction?
Yeah.
What is 0.5 as a fraction? Jessica?
1/2.
1/2. All right, I'm going to put that in parentheses because it's not really what we're looking for. We don't need it to be 1/2, but could it be a fraction? So therefore, 0.5 is a rational number, even though it's a decimal. What about, okay, I'm going to give you a little bit harder one. 2.3 with that repeating bar. 2.3 with a repeating bar. Sadie?
I think I'm going to say no, because because it's going to go on and on with the repeating. And so wouldn't work with that way?
It is going to go on and on repeating, but you actually can write that as a fraction. Andrew?
It would be 2 1/3.
2 1/3. So 1/3 is one of those, it's a very common fraction. We're going to get a list of common fractions Monday or Tuesday next week that you need to know the equivalent to in a decimal. All right, when you get to 7th grade, they are going to test you on, do you automatically know 0.5 is 1/2? Do you automatically know 0.3 with a bar is 1/3? Do you automatically know 0.4 is 2/5? All right, you're going to need to know all of these decimal and fraction equivalences just because they're basic. They're basic, and it's something that I don't want to have to think about constantly. We want to be able to just spit out immediately. Okay? So 2.3 with a bar is the same as 2 1/3. We could also make that a negative 2.3 with a repeating 3, and that would make it negative 2 1/3. All right, so we know that decimals can be written as fractions now, even if it repeats. So as long as the decimal ends, or if it repeats, we can write it as a fraction. Now, irrational numbers, or decimals that continue on forever and ever with no repeating, so like the number pi, we're all familiar with pi, right? 3.14, and then there's like all these random numbers that come after it. There's like competitions for who knows the most numbers of pi. I do not enter those because I know 3.14, okay? That's what I got. All right? So 3.14 and how it continues, does it repeat? No. And there's not even a pattern with that. All right? And because it never ends, pi is not rational. Pi is actually considered irrational because we can just never get to the end of it. Okay? There's one other type of number, though, that I can write as a fraction. So we can do fractions as fractions, decimals as fractions. There's another type of number you can write as a fraction. Sadie?
Percent?
You can write a percent as a fraction, and remember, a percent, decimal, fractions, those all go together. So yeah, we could say that that's a percent, but we're not going to put that in there because it's a different one that I'm thinking of right now. But yes, percents, you can write those. But remember, do we do math with percents?
Nope.
No, we have to change it to a fraction or a decimal to do math with it, so we're going to leave that one off. Gabby? All right, so an improper fraction is a type of fraction already, so that's not what we're looking for. What was that? A whole number. Thank you. I was just getting ready to give you a bigger hint. All right, a whole number. So Tucker, I just wrote a whole number up there, 5. How do I make 5 a fraction? You just put over 1. So that's the same as 5 over 1. So can whole numbers be rational? So all those integers that we just learned about yesterday, now we know not only are they whole numbers, and not only are they integers, but they're also rational numbers. Okay? All right, so our goal today, we want to be able to recognize those. We're going to learn more about rational numbers next week, but I just want to make sure, can y'all put those on a number line? All right? So we're going to still work with some whole numbers. But because y'all are advanced, I think you can do more than just put whole numbers on a number line. We're going to go ahead and put these rational numbers on number lines, okay? So let's kind of go over some things to remember about number lines. Things to remember about number lines. Things to remember about number lines. So when I draw a number line, so you don't have to write this down, I'm just kind of drawing this out to the side. When I draw a number line, what's the first thing that I put on that line?
A number. A 0.
Then?
A line.
The lines, the tick marks, all right? Guys, 0 doesn't even have to be on your number line, so we don't have to put a 0 there. 0 doesn't even have to be on there at all, all right? But we do want tick marks. Why is it so important that I have those tick marks on my number line? Mark?
To show which point of when
To show where they go. Now, guys, if I draw a number line, can I do my tick marks like that? No, what's wrong with this second number line right here? Tucker?
The
There's not an equal amount of space between the tick marks. What else does there have to be an equal amount of space between? Then? What else does there have to be an equal amount of space between? Jessica? Yeah, we want to make sure that we're spacing it all the way to the end of the number line. We don't want to just stop in the middle of the line. Amelia? The numbers. Can I number my number line? 3, 4, 5, 11, 32, 119. No, I can't do that. So the first thing that we want to remember is order and spacing must be consistent. What does the word consistent mean? Just constant, not changing. So if you start numbering by 2s, you got to keep numbering by 2s. All right? Just some other things to be aware of. As you go to the right on a number line, what should be happening? They should be increasing. It should be going up. All right? I'm going to use the word, it should be getting greater. And I want you to look at how I wrote greater. What do you notice about right and greater? Okay. Put it in your homework section. We'll grade it on Monday. Okay. Sadie? They both have the R's. That's a little memory technique. All right. So if it goes to the right, it's got to get greater. All right. If it goes to the left, what do you think has to happen? It's going to get smaller. It's going to decrease. It's going to become less. It's going to become less. So as it goes to the left, it becomes less. Okay? Okay, so let's graph some of these. Graph each number on a number line. Okay. So our first number that we're going to graph is 5 and 7/8. All right, I'm going to move that down so you can see it a little better. Or up, I guess. Okay. All right, so here's the thing, guys. When I'm doing a number line, all right, so we already mentioned earlier that the 0 has to be on my number line. No. All right, and one of the reasons is if I'm having to, like, maybe I wanted to graph 87.49. If I have to graph 87.49, do I want to start at 0? No. Guys, what I want you to be able to do is I want you to be able to pick the piece of the graph that's important to you. Okay? Because the number line, does it stop with just what we drew? No, it continues on forever and ever and ever. We're just going to draw the part that we think is important for this specific problem. Okay? So we need a line, obviously. Okay? Also on the line, it helps, guys, if you go ahead and put your tick space marks all at one time so that they're spaced evenly. If you're putting a mark, then a number, a mark, then a number, a mark, then a number, it's harder to space them equally. So when I do my number line, I'm just going to go ahead and put some tick marks on there. I want at least 6 numbers on your number line, so you need at least 6 tick marks. As you can see, I have more than that. All right? I have more than that. Okay. When I look at this number, all right, if I can have the important information at the center of the number line, I know I'm going to have all the information that I need, because then I'm going to have what's below it and what's above it on that number line. So in this case, what number do you think is going to be important? And I'm sorry, I should have prefaced this with, when we number our number line, we're going to number it with integers. So what does that mean when I say we're going to number it with integers? Sean? Positive and negative what? Positive and negative what? Whole numbers. I don't want to see fractions on your number line. We're going to choose where to put the fraction once we get there. For right now, when I number it, I want whole numbers. So when I look over here, what's the important whole number on number 1? Ben? 5. Okay, so I'm going to take my 5. I'm going to put it somewhere near the middle. It doesn't have to be exactly in the middle, guys. I could put my 5 right here if I wanted to. All right, is that exactly in the middle? No. No, is it near the middle?
Yep.
Yes. All right, I don't want to put my 5 way down here. Okay? All right, we're numbering this with integers. So as I go to the right past the 5, my number should be getting great. So what comes after 5? 6, then? Then? All right, and before 5? Going to the left, so we're getting less, so 4, and then 3. Okay, so we got our numbers on there. Now guys, when we're graphing these guys, I'm trying to make this really simple. My whole thing, I want you to know about where 7/8 is. Okay. So can someone tell me what numbers is 5 and 7/8 in between? What number is 5 and 7/8 in between? Gabby? 5 and 6. Do we all agree that's 5 and some more? Did we make it all the way to 6? No. It's 5 and some more, so I'm between 5 and 6. Now here's the thing. I don't want you to just put a dot in the middle. Because is this 5 1/2? No. So I need you to be able to tell me 5 and 7/8 is not 5 1/2. Is it going to be more than that? Is it going to be closer to 6?
Yes.
Or is it going to be less than that, closer to 5? What are we going to do, Amelia, here?
You're going to go closer to 6.
Closer to 6. So 5 and 7/8, I'm going to go closer to 6 and put my dot right there. Okay. Do y'all see how, am I finding an exact spot? No, I just want to be able to recognize, oh, okay. Ella knows 5 and 7/8 is between 5 and 6, definitely closer to 6 on that. Okay? All right, let's do another one. Number 2. Negative 24.49. Okay, again, I'm just going to draw my number line out. Go ahead and put my space marks on there so I can try to make them even. All right, you have to have a minimum of 6. If you do more, that's fine. Mine had more. Doesn't matter. What number do you think we want near the middle? What number do we want near the middle? Doesn't have to be exactly in the middle, but what number do we want near the middle here? Check.
24. Negative 24.
That's true, yes, but in this case, what whole number is there? 24. So we're going to want both of those, all right? So like I said, Jacob said we needed 25, which is true because that's on the other side. So we're going to need negative 24 and negative 25. I usually start with the whole number that's in front because it's already written down for me. So I'm going to put negative 24. Make sure we keep the negatives. Now, guys, we got negatives. So when I'm numbering this number line, since it's negatives, I should be numbering it in the negatives, which is going to go in the opposite direction, right? So when I'm trying to go to the right and get greater, what number is actually going to go next to 24? 23. Negative 23. Very good. So this ends up counting backwards because it's negatives. Negative 20, 2, negative 20, and negative 20. Over here we have negative 20, negative 20, and negative 20. All right, 24.49. Closer to 24 or closer to 25? Sadie?
It's actually about halfway.
Yes! Excellent observation. She said it's actually really pretty much in the center. Isn't 24.49 pretty darn close to 24.5? Yeah, it's like basically in the same location, especially since we don't have a lot of space here. So when I do negative 24.49, I'm going to put it between 24 and 25, but I'm not going to put it closer to one or the other. I'm going to put it in the center. I'm going to go ahead and put it in the center because I want you to be able to recognize 0.49 is pretty much 0.5 a half. Okay? If you round it, it would be 0.5. All right, last one. Number 3, we'll say the easiest for last. Negative 3. Yeah, because y'all are going to have some whole numbers tonight, too, that you're graphing. All right, we're not just doing fractions and decimals. That's an important part. All right, this is our last example like this. Then we got one more thing that we got to talk about. All right, what number do I want towards the middle? Ben?
Negative 3.
Negative 3. And what's going to go to the right of negative 3, Ben?
Negative 2.
Very good.
Negative 1.
0.
And then 1.
And then a positive 1. So did my 0 end up on this number line?
Yes.
Yeah. Was it at the beginning?
No.
No. Because, guys, remember, a number line goes on forever. We're just picking the piece that we want. All right, what goes to the left of that negative 3? Negative 4, then? Negative 5. Negative 6. Okay, where's my dot going to go? Sadie? Right at 4. Now, right at 3, I'm sorry. Now, guys, please remember, your dot should be on the line. Am I putting my dot up above the line? No. Am I putting my dot on the number? No, make sure your dot goes on the line. That's really important. All right, we still got one more thing to talk about. All right, so we still need to talk about inequalities. Inequalities. All right, we defined this yesterday. Our definition for inequality stated it's a mathematical sentence indicating that two quantities are not equal. All right, the symbols that we use for inequalities are these two symbols. All right, some people use Pac-Man or alligators to remember which way to write our inequality in the math sentence, but we still need to know which one is the less than and which one is the greater than. All right, raise your hand if sometimes you have trouble remembering which one is the less than symbol, which one is the greater than symbol, just when I'm looking at the symbol by itself. Without numbers involved, you can't look at the numbers to cheat. You just got to be able to look at it and go, oh, that one's a less than, or oh, that one's a greater than. All right, yeah. Okay, so about half of us have a little bit of trouble with that. So what I'm going to show you today, a couple of techniques to help you out. Okay. All right, this is going to be a little bit harder to see on the projector. All right, but I want everyone to make an L. Make an L with your left hand. Well, your left hand should make an L. If you look at that pointer finger and your thumb. Do y'all see my L? All right. Now look when I turn my L. What happens? It's a less than symbol, isn't it? Because L stands for less. It made an L. I turn it to the side. Now it is less than. See how that works? All right. So this right here, this is my less than symbol. That's my less than symbol. Alright, so something else that's neat about this, another way that we can remember this. Alright, if I draw my less than symbol, so there it is. Alright, what if I draw a line coming from that? Now that's an arrow, isn't it? What direction is that arrow going? Left, which also stands for less. Okay, another way you can remember this. Alright, guys, that's starting with the little bitty pointy side, right? Little bitty pointy side comes first. Just like you would read this paper from left to right, if I'm seeing the pointy little small side first, that means less. Okay? When I look down here, do you see how it's the big open side? Yes. Because this one is greater. Okay, now I want you to watch how I write my G here. This was pointed out last period. So there's my, do y'all see that greater than sign right there? Greater than. If I turn that, is that going to match up? Yes. All right. So, guys, that was just pointed out last period. Someone was like, hey, did you notice that if you turn that mark on your G? I was like, oh, cool. All right, so this one is greater than. Okay, also, if I make that one an arrow, what direction is it going? Right. To the right, which means great. Remember how we write that at the beginning in our notes? Okay. And again, that open side comes first, which is the bigger side because it's greater. Okay. Guys, the easiest thing for me is to just remember if I can make an L and it matches, it's less than. If I can't make an L and it doesn't match, then it's the opposite, greater. Okay. Whichever technique you want to use is fine. All right. All we're going to do, guys, is we're going to skip down here and we're going to compare some numbers. Compare using an inequality. Compare using an inequality. We're going to start with 8 and negative 15. 8 and negative 15. Right? I liked yesterday that video that we watched. It compared positive and negative numbers to our YouTube votes. So like vote was positive, down vote was negative. Yes. So if I look here, would I rather have 8 positive up votes, or would I rather have 15 negative down votes? Sadie?
I'd rather go for the 8.
I'd rather have the up votes. I'd rather have the positive votes. I want people to like my videos. All right? So in this case, yes?
Technically, How many people dislike it?
Negative, man. Yeah, that means they don't like it.
Then you would want up likes.
Yeah, well, I think in general we can all use in general, guys, we would say that we'd rather want people to like us than to dislike our videos.
Yes.
Okay? So, and we're not talking about like in specific situations, okay? But in general, we'd rather have positive versus negative.
Yes.
All right? Which one is Pac-Man going to choose?
8 is going to be 8.
The 8. Pac-Man is going to choose the 8. So my Pac-Man is opening up towards the 8. Again, guys, it's not about just choosing the right symbol. All right? It's about being able to tell me which symbol is that. So if I read this, this says 8 is greater than negative 15. Is that a true statement? Does that make sense? Yes. Okay. All right, so let's look at another one. Negative 86 and negative 24. Okay. So this would be probably like that paint drying video that they were talking about yesterday in thing. All right. Do we want 86 downvotes or 24 downvotes? Which one of those is the better of the bad? Neither one are good, but which is better of the bad? Julia? Negative 24. So which one's Pac-Man choosing? The negative 24. All right. So when I look at this again, what symbol did we just use? Brittany?
The less than.
The less than. All right, guys, it's not about just picking the right one. That's super important. All right, but it's about being able to read this as negative 86 is less than negative 24. All right, last one. Negative 5 and 5. What symbol do I need to go there? Negative 5 and 5. What symbol do I need? Sean? Mm-hmm. Well, that was both of them in one word. What symbol do we need? So we can look up here, or if I just read this, negative 5 is what to 5? All right, so 5 and 5 is equal, but since this one is negative and this one is positive, what symbol do I have to have in between them, Noah? Less than. A negative 5 is less than a positive 5. Pac-Man's going to choose positivity. Remember, Pac-Man loves positive.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any questions about our notes today? All right. So we are